Hello, Year Sevens. I'm sorry that I can't be with you, but we're going to carry on with our science lessons as per normal. I realise that some of you still need to light Bunsen burners, and when I can get back in, I will make sure that you get your chance. So everyone should have their science books out, and I expect you to be at your absolute best behaviour so that I only hear great reports about this class from your cover teacher. So can you turn in your booklets to the page on the Bunsen burner so we can just check that everybody is on the bus? Okay, so the first thing I would like you to do, last lesson, when I showed you how to light a Bunsen burner, I asked you to put in the right order by writing numbers next to the correct instructions so that there is a clear sequence to light a Bunsen burner safely. What I'd like you to do is take out your purple pen and check that you've done yours correctly. If not, make any corrections. It doesn't matter if you got something wrong because that's how we learn from our mistakes. Okay, so this is the order that I got. Number 1, we close the air hole. Number 2, we attach the rubber tubing to the gas tube. Now, 1 and 2 can be the other way around, but usually it's easier to check that the air hole is closed before you start. Then step number 3, light the match or the burning splint. Number 4, turn on the gas tap. Number 5, that then lights the Bunsen burner. And then number 6, adjust the flame. Okay. Right. I hope that you have done that well and that you have done any corrections. And then I'd like you to turn to the next page. Year 7, so at the top of your next page, I need you to write today's date, which may be different from the one on the video. In today's lesson, we're going to focus on measuring accurately and working safely. Let's have a look at what we're going to do. So for this part of the lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to do a little experiment. Now, unfortunately, because I'm not there, you can't do the science experiment yourself, but hopefully, with the help of my video, you're going to be able to record the results. So the first thing we know that in any science experiment, it doesn't matter whether you are in year 2 at primary school or whether you are a first-class science researcher, our experiments always start with an aim. So in this case, the aim of the experiment, it says in your booklet, to investigate the decrease in temperature of water after boiling over 14 minutes. So what does that tell us? Well, it tells us there's 2 things. It tells us that what we're going to find out is the temperature. How is the temperature going down? That's what we're finding out in the experiment. And anything that we're finding out is called the dependent variable. So if you can underline decrease in temperature, and above that, write dependent variable. Now I'm going to spell that for you. D-E-P-E-N-D-E-N-T, dependent, and variable, V-A-R-I-A-B-L-E. So variable is something that you're changing. And the other thing that you're changing in the experiment is the time. We are deciding what time we're going to use in this experiment. So if you underline 14 minutes, that is our independent variable. So above 14 minutes, if you can write independent variable. And you will notice in all the experiments we do, there is always an independent and dependent variable. Now, what I'd like you to do, think about this experiment. We're going to have some water that's very, very hot, and we're then going to use a thermometer, and we're going to allow the water to cool. Now, if we had done this in class, we would use a Bunsen burner to heat up the water. We would then have a very, very, very hot beaker, and we would then take the measurements. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to pause the video for 2 minutes and discuss in your pairs what safety precautions do you need to take. I then want you to share it with your teacher, and then we'll compare it to my answers. So pause the video, and then when you're ready, start again. Okay, so we've looked at the aim, we've looked at the safety, and there's the apparatus over here. But let's have a look at what safety precautions you have come up with. So the first safety precaution, hopefully you've come up with this, is wear safety glasses and tie back hair if you've got long hair, and if you're wearing a tie, make sure that that's not dangling around. What I'd like you to do with purple pen, if you got any of these, put in a tick. If there's ones that you don't have, just add that in so that you can give a good expansive answer. What else would we need to do? Well, let's see what comes up next. Don't have the hot beaker at the edge of the table, because of course if that spills and it's had boiling water in it, that could be very, very dangerous. You might also put stand while doing the experiment in case there is a spillage, and you might include something like make sure there's no trip hazards around the table. Any of the lab rules could apply, but I think those would probably be the most important ones for this particular experiment, as well as good common sense, like listen to instructions carefully. Okay, so we've got the aim, we've got safety precautions, we've got a list of apparatus, and now in any experiment, we always have the method. Let's move that over. Right, so the method is a recipe that you can follow so that your results will be exactly the same as mine. Just like if you follow a Jamie Oliver recipe, if I follow his recipe, I should be able to cook as beautifully as Jamie if he has written down his instructions clearly. So let's look at these instructions. Fill a 250 ml beaker with 100 ml of tap water. So yes, I could use a measuring cylinder to do this, but it's not too, it's not as important to get this accurately. So if you use the 100 ml mark on the beaker, then that would be fantastic. Then heat the water until it starts bubbling. Now, in my case, I've done this for you using a kettle. But if we were doing this in class, we would have to use a Bunsen burner, and we'd wait until the water starts bubbling, turn off the Bunsen burner, and then start the stopwatch as we take our first measurement. Now it says here, start the stopwatch and measure the temperature every 2 minutes for 14 minutes. Now I want you to do me a favor. I've done it every 1 minute for 10 minutes. So can you just make that change? We're going to make a few changes on this, and I appreciate you being so flexible. And then record your results in the table as you go along. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to go to a new YouTube video that I've given your teacher, and we're going to do this experiment, and as we do it, you are going to fill the results in your table. Now, before we do that, I just want you to make an adjustment to this table. So I've gone 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I'd like you to change it to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I want you to go up to 10. So if you need to go in the bottom of your page, that's absolutely fine. That's entirely my fault. that I've changed it around. So you are going 1 to 10. And as you watch the video in silence, you are going to record the temperatures that you see and hear on the video.